less than 2,000.
The podcast.
So I watched it the other day.
When I got that text this morning that you actually had watched Terminator 2, I about fell out of my chair. I swore neither one of us would ever be able to watch that movie again. We saw it so many times.
That was the quintessential movie growing up. We watched the shit out of it. On VHS, we wore that tape out.
I swear there was 1 week I watched it every afternoon.
It was such a good movie. I remember having the box set of both of them, the VHS with Terminator 1 and 2, and it was like my biggest prized possession. Since then, I have watched it twice. I watched it about 10 years ago, and I watched it last night because we watched the hell out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I want to watch, I want to go back and watch it again. I could recite about every single line of that movie without even thinking of it. I could play that movie in my sleep. I've seen it so many times.
That one and Ghostbusters, I know line by line.
Yeah. But I mean, but Terminator 2 was the coolest movie we had ever seen at that time.
And I'll tell you right now, it still holds up. You know, having listened to a few of these getting ready for this, I've noticed you could really play a drinking game for this show. Every time I say something holds up or does not hold up, take a drink. Every time, if you really want to get faced, everybody, every time Chad or I say, take a drink.
Yeah.
Terminator 2, amazing movie, 1992. Fantastic. It was at the time the highest budget for a film of all time.
Oh, for sure.
Into that, I think it was 80 million, close to 100 million, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason it holds up so well is A, it's a great script. B, it's very well acted and directed. And C, most of the effects are practical. When blows up, there's an actual explosion.
See, this is what I hate about this over digital age that we live in now. Everything is so fake. Everything is so processed. Everything is so pristine. It doesn't look real. When Arnold Schwarzenegger was standing up there shooting off that building at all of the cop cars with that minigun, it was mind-blowing. And then they really blew up that building. They really took a building that was scheduled to be demolished and blew it up with like 7 cameras in the air.
And that was an amazing shot. And by the way, I just really noticing it. Remember how there were all those cop cars out there and all those cops out there?
Yep.
Well, going back and watching the shot where they actually blow it up, you see like it's like an empty parking lot. You see just like a couple like regular cars in the shot.
I mean, yes, there's a few mistakes.
They could have like airbrushed in some regular, cop cars or whatever.
Fake. It would have looked fake. After they blew the building up, the first AD probably went, James, we forgot to get the cars back in there.
Not just the practical effects, the explosions and stuff, but the stunts. I mean, some son of a bitch actually drove a motorcycle out of that window, like a 4th or 5th story window, into a helicopter? Did that really happen? It wasn't a digital effect, I know that much.
There's one shot that actually bothers me more than anything, because, we can't all just praise everything on the show. You gotta talk a little shit.
What?
The stunt double when Schwarzenegger is chasing down
the
John
motorcycle
Connor,
jumping off,
right, and it jumps off into the ravine.
Yes.
First off, the one shot, it's a point. The next shot, it's flat. And then the stunt double that they put on there, they held way too long on that shot.
And it's in slow motion.
And it's in slow motion. Does not look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at all. Like, that's the one thing that every time I just. Ugh.
Oh, part of that sequence though. Remember the T-1000 is driving the semi truck, and it's at one point smashes into a bridge and then explodes. When it smashes into the bridge, you just see this really fake dummy, and they're just like, why do they even have the dummy in there?
Yeah.
Same thing with like, but I mean, that movie was just incredible in terms of the effects, and the one thing that doesn't hold up, take a drink, is the T-1000 effects with the liquid metal. A lot of that looks really good, but a lot of it doesn't. I mean, that's the only part that I think doesn't really...
Yeah, but here again, it holds up, because think about how ahead of the times that movie was in terms of special effects. And what's crazy is, sure, you can kind of tell it's a little, okay, that looks like an effect, that looks like computer generated. But for the most part, you can tell that in stuff today still. So the fact that you can watch that movie and only have to, your mind only has to display so much, and you're still in the movie. It holds you. Unlike The Matrix. Try watching The Matrix today, which was made 8 years later, revolutionized 10 years of cinema, and that movie does not hold up at all compared to Terminator 2.
No, it does not hold up at all in terms of effects and everything like that. And you're right, it was 7 years later, and it just looked like crap compared to Terminator. I think Terminator 2 is the perfect example of an action film. If you want to show somebody what an action film, particularly from the late 80s, early 90s, that is the quintessential movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the stuff that's really funny, 1997 is the nuclear holocaust.
Right.
The opening sequence with the war against the machines in 2029, that is my favorite part of the movie. I love the lasers, all the T-800s just without their skin on, just coming down, all the hunter seekers, those big tank things, the explosions. I love that. That is the best ever.
It's amazing.
I wish, they did movies since then of the future war and all that crap with Christian Bale and Genesis. Yeah, I don't acknowledge it.
What do you mean?
It was post 2000. So yeah, absolutely. I think that stuff, that is the coolest stuff, but without question of any of it. There was some of that from the first movie too. I love that when he falls asleep and he's thinking ahead, and all the future war stuff circa 1984 and 1992 was by far the coolest part of the movie, I think.
Well, I think what's funny is, in a weird way, they're sort of locked in to that, because now effects are so much bigger, but you're kind of locked into the whole simplicity of the T-800, just being I can't believe I'm going to say this, just a regular metal body with an endoskeleton over it. It's so primitive. If you really think about it, they went way outlandish with all the other Terminators, but you were always sort of locked into the sort of base model that, yes, you would never have today still. But the cool thing about it is they still make sure that they give truth to what the original designs were in the original models, and that's cool.
It was such a great design too. I mean, it's a metal skeleton with red eyes with laser cannons. I mean, it's hard to top. Okay, so John Connor, played by Eddie Furlong, who was an amazing character. First of all, I looked at, he's 10 years old. According to the readout that the T-1000 looks at, he's 10 years old, and it's like every kid's dream at the time. He's got the dirt bike, he's wearing the Public Enemy shirt, he's listening to Guns N' Roses, he's hacking an ATM with a laptop, he's got that sweet bowl haircut with the flip, he's got that redheaded kid with the redheaded mullet, and a jean jacket, like cut off jean jacket vest. He's going to an arcade instead of school. Like, that was my dream when I was that age.
There was nothing else that you would rather be doing. Every kid in America wanted to be doing exactly just that. And then to have a Terminator friend? Like, come on. He already didn't have a father.
Yes.
So, how amazing is that? Oh, this is my pet Terminator.
Linda Hamilton is so badass and hot. I love her. I didn't really appreciate her when I was 9 watching it, 10 or whatever. No. It was amazing looking back on it as an adult, how, first of all, she's just so hot. She's always wearing the tank top, the white one in the beginning, and then the green and black later. Her arms look fucking sweet, and she's got that ponytail, and when she's all militaried out, she just looks badass.
There is no bigger badass woman, I think, ever than Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2.
Amazing acting. When she's in the insane asylum at the beginning, and there's that amazing scene where she's watching video of herself.
I just got chills.
Oh my God, it's so good. And then she pretends to be I'm all better now. I don't believe that stuff. And then flips out. I mean, the acting is, I'm getting chills.
I mean, the 80, what's crazy is, how the first movie is always the best and the sequel always kind of it's not as great. I think this is the one time where the sequel, Terminator 2, is arguably the best of any Terminator movie, period.
Absolutely.
It's way better than 84. You know, and it's obviously way better than the ones following. I won't say way better than 84. It was just different. But I like how they evolved Sarah Connor's character. You know, because in the first one, she was sort of the weak woman being hunted.
She was a waitress.
You know, she's a waitress. And I love how they just empowered her. I mean, they gave her the power. She went from like just a waitress to like the biggest badass woman on the planet. And that's cool. And was leaps and bounds ahead. Because now we have female characters and all kinds of stuff, like power characters, and they're great.
So it's a very serious, intense action film, but it's got all these light moments too. Like when Arnold walks in naked to the bar and kicks everybody's ass, and he's playing Bad to the Bone when he comes out. I need to close your boots on your motorcycle. And it's just, there's just light moments. There's the moments where John Connor's teaching him how to be a human being and how to smile and how to interact and all of that stuff.
It had both. You know, the original Terminator, it was really for like adult men.
Dark.
Violent. And violent. But Terminator 2, it brought the family aspect into it. It brought a kid into it. But it kept the action up, but it also had a little bit of fun, a little bit of light moments, like you said, and that's awesome because it became, again, a very well-rounded movie that could appeal to many people. There was not a teenager in this country who was not like, I want it, Dad, take me to this movie. I want to see this movie.
There was it's by no means a family film because there's so much violence, like the knives going through people's faces and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and when she goes after to kill the dude in front of his family, Dyson, yeah, like that's pretty dark.
I like that father-son dynamic. I didn't really pick up on that so much as a kid, and I really like the fact that, you know, his mom is screwed up and kind of alienated. She's not close to him. She yells at him after he saves her. He tries to get close with her and she kind of pushes him away. And then he really bonds with, because he never knew Kyle Reese, like as a kid, obviously.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, as arguably with me being much older than you and a lot wiser, I caught on to that very early on. But it was more because, like, how cool would that be? It didn't matter that he was an adult when we were kids. He was cool. He was a Terminator. He was badass.
John Connor is somehow able to open the super secret locker with the key to get into the super secret dual control locker by using his ATM hacking laptop. Dyson, the guy who invented it, can't get into it, but he's like, oh, I can get into this, and just hooks up his little laptop with a little card.
I'm sorry, John was not that smart. He was a punk kid hacking ATMs. There's no way he was able to just immediately get in there and be like, here, I can do this. Click, 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 boom, in.
I love that scene where the guy in the helicopter goes, he's got a minigun, and he just shoots everybody, all the cars and everything like that, and then scans everything, and it says 0.0 fatalities.
Which I always thought that was so cool, because John said, don't kill innocent people.
Yes, it was a callback to earlier where he told him not to kill anyone, and that was just an amazing sequence.
Yep.
Here's another nitpicking thing. Dyson gets shot. He's holding the detonator thing, and he's like, I don't know how much longer I can hold this. And the SWAT team goes, fall back! Why didn't they take it from him?
and the thing that he dropped hits the other thing that actually detonates the bomb. You could have walked up and just grabbed it from him, and it would have been fine.
It made no sense at all.
And he's sitting there. Clunk. So you had all this time in the world to just go, Dyson, let me take that, thank you.
They're SWAT team bomb squad guys. It's their job to risk their life, right? Like, they just left and let the whole place blow up.
Zero casualties, so who cares? What are the chances that a T-800, a T-1000, a liquid nitrogen truck, and a metal place burning things would all happen to be in the same place at the same time with John Connor? I mean, what are the odds?
The part where the T-1000 freezes in the liquid nitrogen, and then Arnold says, hasta la vista, baby, shoots him and shatters him into a million pieces, only to melt and reform.
Yep.
Was that the dumbest thing in the world? Shouldn't he just left him frozen?
Yeah, but if you're frozen, he would have still thawed out eventually.
Eventually, but you can get away.
Yeah, but you slowed him down. It wasn't about getting away. They needed to end the movie somewhere. He needed to kill him.
Yeah, but
they slowed him down. They slowed him down that way. That wasn't the dumbest thing in the world.
Okay,
it bought him time to get further ahead. So by the time he came back together, they could push him off into the melting pit.
I would buy that, except for the fact that they literally just stand there and watch it reform. They don't run. They sit there and watch it melt and reform into a pool. And that's when the T-1000, as cool as it is pretty ridiculous. Like this machine that can be all these different pieces and liquid metal and like where the circuits, how does that all work?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's kind of a little bit.
But was it not cool as
Why does he tell Sarah Connor to call for John? He later copies her and goes, John, and gets him to... Why doesn't he just kill her right there instead of being like, call to John. I know this hurts.
Because he's pissed. He's torturing her.
He can't be pissed. He's a machine.
You said that with a real hint of like cockiness, like how smart you are.
His death scene is so dramatic and overdone, I would say.
Where he's flailing around going,
turning into all the people that he's been, and it just keeps going and going and going.
Well, again, I never said it wasn't too long of a movie. You could have cut 15 minutes out of the theatrical cut and still been okay, let alone the other 20 minutes they cut out of the director's cut.
The ending overall is great. The whole part where he lowers himself into the liquid metal and has to terminate himself and don't go, I order you not to go, and is crying because he's his father figure and his friend. I wish it would have ended with the screen flickering. You see the T-800's like point of view and then it shuts down. I think it should have just ended right there instead of going into the narration.
Yeah, you didn't need to go back to the narration and then winding down the road and all that kind of stuff. It should have just ended there.
Terminator 2 is just such an instrumental part of Adam and Chad's lives. This inspired us to like film, to really get into film. Like we said, we played the tapes out. You probably couldn't even watch it anymore. We not only loved this movie so much, we remade it several times on VHS on Chad's home camcorder. We made Terminator 1, 2, 3, and 4 all 1994 and earlier. And Chad, of course, played Arnold. Because he looked the most like a T-800.
Yeah, I was always really disappointed that I couldn't make, that scene when he rips his flesh off to show his metal arm.
We did that with tinfoil.
I know, we did that with tinfoil. I was always sad that it didn't look better. Like T2 got it a little bit better than we did, but whatever.